back to my home and my kitchen. A few months ago I had an email from a viewer asking me if I would prepare one of his favorite Tex-Mex dishes. I grew up in Louisiana, went to college in Texas, and have always loved Tex-Mex and Mexican foods. And now that I live in Denver, I'm actually learning how to prepare a lot of those delicious meals. And this meal that we're working on today is called Carne Guisada. It's delicious. It's sort of a Mexican stew, which I'll show you how to plate it in that manner. You can also use the same recipe as a topping for, say, a bean burrito or a side to go with tamales. It's really delicious and very flavorful. Works great in the cool fall months, in the winter. It's perfect. So let me show you how to get this put together. The first thing you're going to need is a very large Dutch oven, or something that can go into the oven as well as work on the stove. I'm heating that over a medium heat while we get the ingredients together, and I'm also preheating the oven to 325 degrees. The ingredients we're going to need are, first is 2 pounds of chuck roast. I've cut that into about 1/2 to 3/4 inch cubes, bite-sized pieces. That's the main flavor component in the dish. As well as we'll need about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. In this bowl I have 1 large white onion chopped up very fine. I also have 2 stalks of celery chopped up very fine, and 2 to 3 jalapenos that I removed the seeds and the membranes from and chopped that up very finely. You'll also need 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, your chili powder of choice. I'm sort of using a blend today. Also, you'll need a teaspoon of cumin, 2.5 cups of beef stock. I mentioned the 2 pounds of the roast that we've chopped up. You're going to need some oil to coat the bottom of the Dutch oven with, as well as salt and pepper to taste. And to get this started, I'm going to take my meat, which I've already chopped up, and I'm going to sprinkle the flour right over that. And then with my spoon, I'm just going to get this meat lightly coated with the flour. It'll all eventually stick. Just take your spoon and kind of mix that around. And that's going to help it to brown a little bit and also help when it sears. The important thing about having a large Dutch oven, something that has a lid on it because it's going in the oven like I mentioned, is when we add this meat to a hot pan, we want it to actually sear and not poach. And if you try to compact your meat in a small container, in a small pot, the juice from the meat will actually seep out and your meat will start to poach, and that's not what we actually want at this state. So I have about 1/4 of a cup of canola oil, or the oil of your choice. Peanut would work just fine as well. We'll let that heat up just slightly while I finish mixing my flour on the beef. So our oil is just about ready. I can see the ripples starting to form, and right when it starts to smoke, I know it's going to be ready. But I want to mention one other thing. You could prepare this entire dish up in a skillet, pour it into a slow cooker, and let it cook on high for about 4 hours or on low for 6 to 8 hours. It's perfect that way, especially if you're running out and you want to prepare something in the morning. Put it in your slow cooker and then have it ready when you get home from work. It's absolutely perfect for that. So I have my meat. I'm going to pour this right into the hot oil. And I'll put that flour in there. And kind of spread the meat out just a little bit, and we're going to let it sear, and then we'll turn it over and let the other side sear. Alright, I've let the meat sit untouched. I've not done anything to it for about 1.5 minutes. We really want that to get nicely charred on one side, really nicely browned. So I'm going to stick my spoon in here. So I got that a little bit agitated, turned it over, let all of the sides of the meat brown nicely. Let it, turn it, let it sit for a few minutes, stir it, let the other side brown a little bit until all the meat is nicely browned on all sides. The meat is getting perfectly brown, but there was one thing I wanted to show you. On the bottom here, notice, the flour is starting to brown and stick a little bit to the bottom. That's exactly what we want. We're going to add our chicken stock, or our beef stock to this to deglaze it, and that's going to bring up all of those brown bits, and it's really going to add to the final flavor of this dish. So the meat, like I said, is nicely brown. I'm going to take our celery, onions, and the jalapenos, and they're all going to go right into the dish. I'm going to saute these just slightly until wilted, then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. I've let those vegetables wilt just slightly, about 2 or 3 minutes, keeping the heat fairly high. I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of the tomato paste. We're going to add our 1 tablespoon of the chili powder, a teaspoon of the cumin, and some salt and pepper. Notice I have not salted the dish up till now, and that's a good tip. Whenever you're browning meat and you want a nice crust to form on it, don't add any salt to it, because the salt will start to draw the moisture out and you'll actually not get the achieved the look that you want on the meat. So I'm just going to turn all of these ingredients around so they incorporate nicely, especially that tomato paste. You want to make sure it incorporates throughout the pot. And you guys, this is smelling so good. It smells like any delicious Tex-Mex restaurant you'll go into. It has that nice spice smell to it. All right, now then, the beef stock goes in. Put it right over the ingredients. And then with my spoon, I'm just gonna kind of work it on the bottom, releasing all those delicious brown bits. And as soon as that's done, we'll be back and we'll get it into the oven. All the ingredients have come to a boil, which is exactly what we want. I feel that on the bottom of the pan, most of those brown bits have released themselves, which is what we want, because those brown bits equal delicious flavor. So I'm going to get the lid on this, turn my stove off. This is going to go into the oven for approximately 3 hours at 325. If it goes over by 30 minutes or so, even an hour, it'll be fine. The meat will just be actually more tender. So we'll be back in about 3 hours. And It's been just 3 hours. I just took the carne guisada out of the oven. It looks absolutely perfect. Most of the juice was absorbed or has evaporated, leaving a nice sort of gravy along with the bits of meat that are broken down so nicely. As I drag the spoon through it, I can see it falling apart, which is perfect. I'm going to show you how I plate this, but this mixture of meat can also be used as a perfect burrito filling. It's absolutely delicious, or a good use for leftovers. So in a bowl, I'm going to take a large tortilla, a burrito-sized tortilla, put that right down, spoon in a nice serving of the meat. That's good. And then on top of that, I'm going to put some grated cheese. Perfect. A dollop of sour cream, just along the side. And some of my homemade guacamole. The guacamole recipe is also available here. Just go search and you'll find it. And then just a little bit of finely chopped cilantro. And that looks really, really good. So let's give this a taste. I have everything plated up. I'm serving this with some homemade tortilla chips. They're really simple. Cut them into wedges. Fry them in peanut oil about 2 minutes at 360 degrees. They're delicious. So I'm going to give this a taste. Some of that homemade guacamole. Cooking the meat low and slow like that for 3 hours, it falls apart in your mouth, and the chili gives it a great, great flavor. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to email me at scottindenver@msn.com should you want to make a comment about this recipe or ask me to prepare one for you. I'll be happy to. Alright, have a good day. Bye.